Research tells us that with optimal nutrition and lifestyle, it is possible for anyone to live their entire lifespan, whether it's 75, 100, or beyond, in the most healthful, disease-free way possible. And the manifestation of that possibility is the very purpose of this film. In it, we would discover an all-encompassing approach to food and eating called Superpositivity Nutrition, which is built upon the finest nutritional research, practices, and wisdom from around the world. Essentially, Superpositivity Nutrition is not a diet, but a philosophy. Once we center ourselves in the understanding and practice of this philosophy, then super healthfulness would manifest naturally in our life forevermore. Superpositivity nutrition can be best understood from the root term superpositivity, which in this context is an acronym of 15 letters, and each of those letters stands for an element of nutrition. Let's go over each of those elements one by one. Most people associate food with only macronutrients, micronutrients, and calories. But at the truest level, food is an exchange of cosmic energy. Before we can take anything from food, we must learn to give to it. And the greatest form of giving that we can impart to food is the energy of gratitude and appreciation. The very act of expressing gratitude to food and to all those who have enabled it to come to us raises its nutritional value immeasurably. And sparing a few moments to appreciate the shape, texture, and aroma of food makes it that much more nourishing and life-affirming. Before eating anything, you could simply close your eyes for a few moments, join your hands, and say a heartfelt, "Yes, thank you, universe." Midway through the meal, you could again say, "Yes, thank you, universe." And when you complete your meal, you could again say, "Yes, thank you, universe," to gratefully appreciate the very opportunity of that meal. But you don't even have to say any words if you don't feel like. Just the act of joining your hands in silent gratitude, taking a loving breath, or closing your eyes in deep, unspoken communion with the food would be equally beautiful. All it takes is a few seconds before your meal, a few seconds during, and a few seconds after. But that is the key distinguishing factor between those who use the energy of eating simply to survive and exist, and those who use it to thrive and excel and become super healthy forevermore. You see, the ultimate state in a human being's relationship with food is friendship. Neither to resist nor to covet, but to befriend. Whenever we eat something, we enter into a partnership with it. From health and an evolutionary point of view, it is meant to be a partnership between equals. But have an objective look at humanity. It is reeling under the weight of food. It is allowing itself to be consumed by the assault of eating. People have learned to covet or even worship food, but not respect themselves and their own capacity to process that food. You see, food is beautiful, always has been. It is a great blessing of the universe upon us. But here's one thing we've never quite realized. We are a great blessing upon food as well. If we were not around to appreciate and accept food into our bodies, then what would be the purpose of all that food? So appreciate food and yourself as equals, and believe me, that's the day health will start appreciating you as well. It is never a food by itself, but the inordinate and uncontrolled amounts of it that one eats that makes it disagreeable to one's system and eventually leads to weight gain. Here's a simple tip that would help you keep your weight at a steady constant while enjoying an unlimited array of foods. Try to eat everything, except fatty and sugary foods, of course, in the denomination of 100 grams. And here's how you could do it. Take a standard stainless steel or glass bowl that has a capacity of 200 grams. Very simply, fill that bowl with a food item to half. And there you go. That's a 100-gram serving of that food. Now that's not to say that you would never eat more than 100 grams of any food item in one go. On many an occasion, you would eat much more than that. But the 100-gram denomination would just enable you to consciously watch the quantity that you're eating. And if your body is still hungry, just keep going in incremental portions of 100 grams. Apply that to pretty much all that you eat. It would enable you to enjoy everything without going overboard. And as someone has beautifully said, in moderation, everything is awesome. Most people who suffer from indigestion or food-related complications are those who treat food as a gulp and gone activity. These are people who chew their food only 3 to 4 times before swallowing it, and who finish their entire meal within a few minutes. You see, when we chew food, enzymes are released in our mouth, and the more we chew, the better those enzymes interact with our food, thus enabling us to absorb optimal nutrients from it. To make sure that you're chewing your food properly, make a goal of spending 20 plus minutes per large meal and 10 plus minutes per snack. Also, you could pause several times during your meal. Take a few deep breaths and say a joyful yes, thank you, universe, to ensure that you're performing the act of eating as slowly and consciously as possible. And rather than wanting it to be over and done with, you're enjoying the experience of eating to the fullest. There's a reason why nature has created an entire spectrum of colors within the food chain. Just like an ideal box of crayons is replete with the full range of colors, the healthiest plate is packed with a rainbow of colors. Now, to understand the vitamin, mineral, and antioxidant content of every food individually, and to meet the daily requirements of micronutrients would require extensive research. So to make it simpler, you should aim to eat the whole rainbow of colors every day to ensure that you're getting an optimal intake of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Perhaps the best health advice that anyone ever gave was, eat a rainbow every day. And that one simple practice would ensure that you paint your meals with the widest variety of foods and the brightest colors of health. Nutritionally speaking, there are dietary compounds called phytochemicals that act as the most powerful antioxidants, and they are available only in plant foods. In the book Blue Zones, which documents the food habits of communities around the world that consistently reach triple digits and live longer than anyone else, the author Dan Buettner says that the biggest commonality among all these groups is that almost their entire daily nutrition is plant-based. And that is one of the strongest reasons for their longevity. The journey of superpositivity is about infinite lightness, love, and empathy. And eating the flesh of another bird, insect, animal, or aquatic creature strongly interferes with those feelings. Now, it's very important to understand that superpositivity nutrition is not a fad diet or a better diet than any other existing way of eating. In fact, superpositivity nutrition is not a diet at all. It is a way of life. And clearly, eating a plant-based diet suffused with superpositive feelings is the most natural way to live the philosophy of superpositivity. There is a very simple way to calculate the quantity of water your body needs to stay optimally hydrated, and that is to multiply your weight in kilograms by 0.45. For example, if your weight is 70 kilograms, then your optimal water intake would be 70 times 0.45. That is 3.15 liters. So to stay optimally hydrated, you would need to drink around 13 glasses of water every day. Just like you should eat slowly, you should also make it a conscious point to drink slowly, taking 2 to 3 sips every now and then to infuse your body with a steady supply of water throughout the day. Also, the water you drink should be accompanied by some electrolytes for it to be optimally absorbed into the body. The simplest way to do that is to add a few slices of lemon or a few pieces of fresh fruit to a container of water and to keep sipping that water throughout the day. Once you start doing that, your body would not just be drinking water, but it would be doing much more. It would be optimally hydrating. The very essence of superpositivity is that it has to be shared with the world. And the same applies to food as well. You see, the best habits in life, whether of work or of the stomach, have to be consciously trained. And the shared communion of meals, whether with family or friends, is a habit that you must try to accomplish every day. And in case you live by yourself, then please make it a point to share a small portion of your meal with other creatures and natural elements, even if you don't have a human to share it with. Because as someone has beautifully said, food is only sustenance when it is consumed alone, but it becomes nourishment when it is shared. According to researchers from Yale University, a diet of plant foods close to nature and in their whole form is decisively associated with health promotion and disease prevention. In fact, it applies to all plant foods. The more whole a food or the less processed and isolated it is, the more fiber and nutrients it has, and the more health benefits it bestows upon the eater. Building upon that understanding, always try to go for a whole fruit rather than concentrated juice. Or when eating almonds, consciously try to eat them with skins intact. You see, whole fruit contains dietary fiber, which is not available when you extract juice from it. Or almond skin is rich in polyphenol antioxidants, which is again not available when we deskin them. Most natural foods are packed with nutrients in every part of their being. So whenever possible, try to go for a whole food rather than processed or isolated parts of it. Someone has beautifully said, as we eat, so we become. If we eat inclusive and whole, our life shall become inclusive and whole as well. Eating and meditation are not different acts. In fact, eating itself is a meditation once we become fully immersed in it. It should be our goal to focus on the experience of eating with all our senses fully engaged in that beautiful process. Many people keep checking their phone, read a newspaper or a book, or watch television while eating, and they usually end up eating more or less than their body optimally requires. That is because they are eating with their mind and not their body. And on the path of superpositivity nutrition, that is something that must be rectified. Eating is one of the most sacred acts in life, and it must be performed with singularity and attentiveness, and without any distraction whatsoever. Because ultimately, the energy we give is the matter that manifests in our life. Most people's approach to food is based on the latest fad diet. High protein, high fat, low carb, and so on. They believe that they should focus on only one large macronutrient and exclude the other nutrients from their food ecosystem altogether. Such an approach is massively detrimental to health because it eventually creates an imbalance in the body. You see, the composition of the human body is such that it thrives on balance. Every nerve, muscle, tissue, and bone is equally important to it. Similarly, all macronutrients and micronutrients are equally important to it, and it does not like to be deficient in any of them. While in the short term, nothing would be adversely impacted. In the long term, such an approach would create a clutch of deficiencies in the body that could eventually lead to disease. That's why we should supply our body every day with an optimal mix of all essential nutrients and consciously keep our food ecosystem in a state of balance. Research says that the wider the variety of natural foods that one eats, the healthier one gets. In fact, the WHO recommends that at least 20 biologically distinct types of foods be eaten every day for optimal health. And these foods have to cover an entire spectrum: fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices. But then Superpositivity nutrition is not just about food. It is about the entire experience of eating. And the more eclectic the process and environment of eating, the more enjoyable that experience. Even if you prefer a certain style of cooking or table arrangement, every now and then experiment with a new style of cooking, or use different tableware, or at times eat with one's non-dominant hand, or sit on a different chair or at a different place than usual to honor this essential element of Superpositivity nutrition and, in fact, life. Variety. Most people eat till their face is stuffed and beyond. But the healthiest people have the awareness to stop much before that. They're completely in touch with the fullness that their body feels moment by moment or morsel by morsel. That is also why one should pause every now and then while eating a meal. By doing so, one comes in alignment with the fullness signals of the body. It is estimated that it takes at least 20 minutes for the brain to register if the stomach is actually full from eating. That's why it is so important to take 20 plus minutes to finish a meal, because by the end of those 20 minutes, the brain would have had the time to process the fullness signals from the stomach. And in case it is still hungry, it would convey so. One could then proceed to give it more food to bring it to satiety. At all times, listen to your body's natural wisdom, and once you're observing all the elements of Superpositivity nutrition, it would become an innate part of you. Then you would neither undereat nor overeat, but you would eat to the point of fullness, or rather, to the point of healthfulness. The approach that most people have to food is pleasurable foods eaten covetously. But the approach that superpositive people have to food is nutritious foods eaten pleasurably. The former comes from craving, while the latter comes from consciousness. Superpositivity means having attained a level of self-mastery powerful enough that one can do or not do anything at conscious will. And that applies to food as well. According to research, most of our negativity is trapped in the muscles of our tongue and is expressed in the unpositive words that we speak and the uncontrolled food cravings that we indulge. In order to control our inner negativity, we must first control our food cravings. So make a list of all your food weaknesses and go for at least 40 days without each of those foods, one by one. And keep doing so till you have transcended all those cravings. Once you've done so, you can reintroduce those foods in your diet if you want to, because by then you would have tasted what it means to live free from the grip of cravings, and you would have become completely autonomous and balanced in your relationship with every food under the sun. Only then would you get to experience what optimal health truly means. It is estimated that we eat almost 100,000 meals and consume almost 30,000 kilograms of food in our lifetime. We have to envision that each of those meals is a celebration, and we have to believe that each of those kilograms is making an additive and synergistic contribution to our health. In order to be in perfect alignment and concert with the philosophy of superpositivity nutrition, we have to emerge from the myth that it is food that is making us super healthy. Rather, it is we that are making ourselves super healthy. The universe has poured 13.76 billion years of intelligence into the design and composition of the human body. It has not done so that we scrape through life scared of what every morsel is bringing us, but so that we rejoice in the bliss of an equal communion and oneness with food. You see, food is good, but the energy that receives that food is much greater, because it is the energy of infinite consciousness. So activate that energy by proclaiming emphatically before, during, and after every meal, and in fact, throughout the day. Yes, I am super healthy forevermore. Yes, thank you, universe. And as the laws of the universe go, super healthfulness would manifest naturally in your life forevermore. Yes, thank you, universe.